What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, invading California for Namm 2020, and we are here with Dusty of Between the Buried and Me. Thank you so much for your time today, man.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah. You were my first interview 5 years ago before I took on the regular duty of interviewing some heavy
It's
duty.
the anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, August 21st.
You have a great memory, much better than mine.
I do the best I can. Yeah. But you're well into the record cycle for the Automata series.
Automata, yeah,
Automata.
we're almost completely wrapped up with it. We've got a few more. We're gonna do Australia and South America, and then we just last week announced our we're doing an evening with tour in May. That's gonna be 2 sets. The first set will be kind of like an eclectic set of our entire career, and then the second set we're doing the entire Great Misdirect record. So it's gonna be pretty cool, man.
Yeah. You know, as somebody who does listen to you, if you play me like 30 seconds of a song, I could tell that's off of Coma Ecliptic, that's off of Misdirect, that's off of Colors, etc. So I think it's fair to say, being that your music is so experimental, you've never been hesitant on trying new things and all that, right?
No, never, man. We never want to repeat ourselves. So that's kind of the goal, just to push the envelope, keep progressing,
Yeah.
hopefully.
There you go. Well, one thing I was always curious about is, like, being that your music is, like, so experimental stuff, do you have, like, a preconceived idea on how you want a composition to sound, or is there, like, a lot of improvising in the songwriting process?
I mean, we all write stuff, and as we're putting it together, you might have to improvise on, a transition or like subdividing to get to a different tempo, but it's pretty. I mean, the whole reason for this tour we're doing is our 20th year as a band. So at this point, we're just kind of, it's a very organic process now, and it's not something that's like pulling teeth. It's a pretty natural. It's a natural thing. Excuse me, for us at this point. So we don't, we don't analyze the stuff too much. We just kind of try to have fun and, write material that we like. Honestly.
Being a guitar player with your soloing, do you have like a theory element, like I have to work off of this scale and this key? So
no, never. We, like I said, we don't think about it that much. It's just kind of like I said, it's a very organic thing. So we don't overanalyze anything on like the theory front or anything like that.
okay. Now, as somebody who's seen you live, I think maybe 17 times at like this point, I've always thought it's very different seeing you live versus like in listening to the album and stuff. For you, is there maybe a similar energy in the live presence as in songwriting, or is it a completely separate mind frame altogether?
I definitely have always kind of thought that we're a band that you should see live, because I've heard a million times from people that it took them several listens, because it's kind of intense at first, and I think seeing it live, even if you're not really into heavy stuff and like aggressive vocals and whatnot, I think seeing the band live is kind of our selling point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause, we put a lot of effort into executing it as good as the record, live. So I definitely, it's like that with a lot of bands, though. You may not like something on the album at first, and then you see it live, or the more you listen to it and kind of saturate yourself with it. I think that's been kind of our thing since the beginning, man, honestly,
Yeah, of course. Well, I think you guys have the best of both worlds, because when I see you live, I know what song you're playing, I know like what era this is off of, but at the same time, it's not like I'm just listening to it note for note. It's not like you guys are robots. There's like a very organic element.
Yeah.
So, and I have two more questions for you. The most difficult question, but I feel like you, of all the bands I've interviewed, are the best to ask this. How do you know when a song is done?
Honestly, we just feel it, Obviously, most of our songs are pretty long, and we kind of pack a lot into each song, But I hate to give such a basic answer, but man, it's just at this point. Sorry, guys, watching the interview. We got some weird stuff happening over here, but it's just it's an organic thing by this point. We've been doing it so long. We just kind of know, We'll kind of get to a stopping point on each one,
There you go. And the final question I wanted to ask you is for your songwriting process and for you to come up with solos and riffs, do you need to put yourself in a certain element in order to get inspired to write, or does inspiration sometimes just come out of nowhere?
Most of the time, it comes out of nowhere, and obviously each touring cycle is about 2.5 years. So by the time you're wrapping up, you're already so ready to create something new. And it all of us, like me and Dan have talked about it. Sometimes you have an idea and you just kind of hum it into a voice note, or you may be fooling around and you know film a riff on your phone or something. It's just touring and playing live and stuff like that. And just jamming on your own and practicing. I think you'll come up with stuff, but the majority of it happens once we're kind of wrapping up the cycle and we start writing. There are, like I said, there are parts that you come up with randomly. Maybe you're at the grocery store or something, and you're like, that would be cool or whatever, or you're in the car and whatever. But yeah, the bulk of it comes when we all just kind of sit down and you're like, all right, it's time to write.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah,
Again,
brother.
first interview, and now you're like my 600th or something like that.
Awesome.
But is there just anything else you mentioned those tours? Could we be expecting some new music, if you're allowed to say, or anything like that?
There's always going to be new music at some point, but without saying too much, we like I said, we're wrapping up the touring cycle, so it will be time very soon. And yeah, we've got everything all planned out. So up until the end of summer, we've got stuff planned, and we're going to be out there all over the globe. So just kind of coming out here for Namm to support my new model with PRS, and then I go home and start prepping for Australia, South America.
Awesome. Well, Dusty, thanks so much.
Yeah, brother.
Everybody, Dusty of Between the Bear to Me. Pick up the Autonomous series if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time. Namm 2020.